The Victoria's Secret fashion show was an iconic moment that people looked forward to every single year. Every news organisation and magazine was publishing the sort of diets and workouts that they did so you could get their body too, because after all, they were the epitome of beauty. You know how Instagram has contributed to people feeling worse about their bodies? Well, Victoria's Secret was like Instagram at 1.0. In the 2000s, when I grew up, which is why I make so many videos about it, Victoria's Secret was the one that was actually setting the trends. They were the ones that were doing the whole cultural shift. They were a big part of the sexualization of every woman. And it also had a hell of a lot of issues, as we'll be getting to, but nobody can deny the cultural grip it had on Western beauty standards. I mean, up until 2018 when they had their last fashion show. Well, it came back this year, and this time it's empowered by women, designed by women, for women. And, underwhelming, confusing, and boring are all words that definitely come to mind. It's a bit like Katy Perry's comeback. Best avoided. But could Victoria's Secret ever rebrand well enough to get over their scandalous past? If companies like Chanel, L'Oreal, and Abercrombie & Fitch have been able to, there's no reason why Victoria's Secret shouldn't be able to, right? Could it ever make lingerie that women wanted to wear? All women were able to wear because they were supported in it, and it was actually pretty. Could they take back femininity and not just channel it through the male gaze? Long video short, no. But you're not just here for a short answer, are you? That's why you click on one of my videos, because we dive deep into things, darling. As per usual, my patrons have already got access to the uncensored version of this video. It's just, we're dealing with YouTube, we're dealing with a lingerie show, we're dealing with Jeffrey Epstein. So I think that you kind of know I'm going to need to censor myself a little bit, okay? Let's dive on in.
People remember the great villains more than they remember the great heroes.
Let's quickly sum up some of their key parts of their history. So the brand was founded in 1977 because of this dude who felt uncomfortable going into lingerie shops, and so he started the company, but then Les Wexner bought it in 1982, who also owned the brand The Limited, and those viewers who are in the US I'm sure are getting a bit of nostalgia at the moment. He transformed the brand to target specifically women, but with a man's vision in mind.
The notion of Victoria should be a lady's paradise. If men like Victoria's Secret, that's kind of a bonus, but in my imagination, they should feel uncomfortable when they're in the store.
They started out with catalogs, which they soon started sending out every single week, and it was modelled after the idea of this Victoria woman, this empowered woman who married rich, but she's from a good family. She's cheeky, she's savvy, and she's confident in herself. And she likes to feel a bit luxurious, and that's why she likes to wear Victoria's Secret lingerie, you see. She's an empowered, self-assured, modern woman in her 30s.
This spring, I shall turn 36 years old.
Les Wexner was the one who started moving clothing production to Hong Kong and to China because he could get some more of those sweet, sweet profits, because you get to pay people pittance because of their poorer working conditions.
And then they would cross the border where the factories were, with the poor people making, probably 15 cents an hour, making these sweaters, which is how you could afford to sell them for 35.
And he wanted the experience at the store to always be new, to always be exciting. There were new designs and new store layouts happening constantly, with Les wanting to make sure that the people who visited the mall 3 times a week, because that was the average in America apparently back then, my goodness, wow, consumerism is like, whoa, that was in the 90s. And he wanted them always to get lured into the shop to buy.
Les Wexner invented fast fashion. He is the guy who figured out how to make Americans shop, 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 shop.
Les Wexner was a micromanager. He was across absolutely everything. He wanted to make the brand to be a huge juggernaut, just like Ralph Lauren. Let's move on to those famous fashion shows. So the first one happened in 1995, and would you look at that audience? Wow, I'm sure they're all here for all of the incredible craftsmanship that goes into all of the lingerie, right? Right?
Here to this show is the exact same thing that brought this guy here. Are you hosting a show?
Looking forward to it since the moment I heard about it.
Are you a fan of Victoria's Secret?
Isn't every red-blooded man a fan of Victoria's Secret?
Some of you may remember the Super Bowl commercial they had, which was only streaming on their website. It caused the website to crash. I wonder who it was that was crashing the website because they wanted to watch it. So Les wanted to change the brand to be what women wanted, and yet it was men that were all watching the show. And then you get the Angels, and wouldn't you know it, the brand which struggled to get any models of any higher caliber to participate in their shows, because when you do lingerie as a high fashion model, that means that you're basically washed up. Sorry, I had to. Tyra Banks has hurt too many people. They managed to get some of the most beautiful models to work from them. As they got more high caliber models, their credibility and respectability went up. Victoria's Secret would be nothing without the models. The first Victoria's Secret fashion show to get aired on TV was in 2001, and every year following that it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And honestly, some of these stage productions are incredibly impressive. Like the angels started swooping down straight away. Oh, this choral verse, I think this was even in the first show in 2001. There is iconic moment after iconic moment. It became an event to watch every single December. And since I watched every single Victoria's Secret fashion show I possibly could for this video, there was definitely a huge shift that happened in 2003. I couldn't help but notice the cameras went away from the clothes to instead focusing on body parts, to focusing on the models themselves. They also kept cutting away to backstage to try and catch models in different states of undress. Backstage things got more and more chaotic, but that was all fake. It was all created to try and create this huge hype that everything was just moving so fast, that they were so on the cutting edge that even they couldn't keep up with themselves. You had to be watching constantly. You had to be constantly tuned into everything. Plus, you may be able to perv on some models because that was clearly what they were trying to do with all of this. What were most coveted were the angel roles. Being able to wear those wings was something that people fought for. And it turns out there was a dude who was trying to say that he was a Victoria's Secret model scout, and he started to trick girls into going and trying to do very inappropriate things with them. His name was someone called Jeffrey Epstein.
So I asked this executive to call Les directly and tell him what was happening. Les told her he would put a stop to it. The point being that inappropriate behavior was reported to Les sometime in '93.
He allegedly held the most well-connected and sordid parties on his private island, and he was partially funded by Les Wexner, and they had a very close relationship with each other. To the point where Les, this micromanager, made Jeffrey Epstein his power of attorney of everything to do with his finances.
He worked for Victoria's Secret. That's what he told me.
And then in 2006, when some legal issues happened around Jeffrey Epstein, apparently this was the point where Les Wexner decided to cut things off, and so he cut contact about 18 months later. Here is the official statement from Les Wexner on all of this.
I don't believe you.
If you want a deep dive into Jeffrey Epstein and all of the disgusting things this man did, there are so many YouTubers who have covered this in depth, and in the documentary it dives into that more too. Millennials will remember this well because in 2002 they launched Pink, which was specifically targeted to teens and tweens. And since everything about Victoria's Secret was a fantasy for men, making something that was targeted to tweens and teens just made a whole bunch of people, especially women that worked there, feel really gross and icky.
Like something was going the wrong direction. I mean, because Pink was literally designed to target teenagers and tweens, and so that did not feel good.
It primed them to be future customers, where they could see how they should look. It defined what sexy was at a young age and cemented that in your mind. Here's an internal Victoria's Secret video for you.
Pink ensures the long-term growth of Victoria's Secret by bringing in a steady stream of young customers who we can hold for decades.
And you know what? Women who worked at the company did keep on trying to speak up to make the changes that they wanted. They wanted to make sure that the clothing was comfortable, but that was an ugly word. That's not a sexy word. Everything was meant to be about a fantasy, and every time that women tried to speak up, they just got shot down because it was basically run by two men, Les Wexner and Ed Razak, who was the chief marketing officer for L Brands, which owned Victoria's Secret.
Design house was femininity from a woman's point of view, not femininity from a man's point of view. We did boards on What's Sexy Now, and we tried to affect him, but that was always in direct opposition of how Les saw sexy. Fantasy was the marketing strategy for Victoria's Secret, and FOMO was the marketing strategy for Pink. But why is it that they were targeting tweens and teens? And in the 2010s in particular, you could really see this childish shift in their fashion shows. Like, they were using pop stars who were famous amongst tweens. For context, in previous years, they had Phil Collins, Sting, Mary J. Blige. Even when they brought the Spice Girls back, that was to cater to people that had, like, listened to that as teenagers. And it's like, why are you trying to draw girls into watching this? Because the demographic of men that watch this stayed the same age. Did you know Adriana Lima, an absolute Victoria's Secret icon and icon of the 2000s, she did her first Victoria's Secret show at 17. And just hear what good old Ed has to say about her.
Adriana Lima, I think the first show was 17 years old. She was nervous as hell, and she walked to the end of the runway, and there were all those cameras, and she just hit her pose and just grew up in that second, just went wow.
Why is a 17-year-old modeling lingerie that's meant to be modeled for Victoria, a confident, self-assured 30-something-year-old woman? Yes, I do know that teenagers have been used as fashion models for many years all around the world, but what I'm on about specifically, this is lingerie. This isn't like a high fashion thing. You're getting teenagers to wear stuff that is literally designed for seduction. The image of Victoria's Secret changed to be what men wanted, a girl of 18 to 25, not a confident, self-assured woman that women aspire to be like, but the ones that men want to sleep with. The Me Too movement in 2016 changed the world, but some companies didn't want to change. Sales started to dip, but Ed wanted to stay true to the brand, and so he remained steadfast that he wouldn't change with the times at all. At Victoria's Secret, there was a culture of, oh, that's just what Ed's like. You're just meant to shrug off all of the disgusting, nasty things he says and does. It was only in 2018 when Vogue provided Ed with this prime opportunity to be able to do some brand repair, to be able to say how they were changing with the times, how they were listening to what women wanted and all of that. And Ed said this famous quote, I'm going to blur out the slur for you, but very disgusting words, basically. Ed, over the years, has said a lot of disgusting things. And even after this interview happened, which badly damaged the already damaged image of Victoria's Secret, it took him an entire year to decide to leave. And as we know, 2018 was the last Victoria's Secret fashion show where they tried to stage this performative "I'm empowered," whilst the exact same types of models are wearing the exact same types of clothing with the exact same way of filming them. The only difference is them saying, "I enjoy this." Meanwhile, Rihanna's Fenty X Savage launched in May of that year, and it caused a huge ripple effect, just like when she came out with her Fenty Beauty line, because oh my goodness, we can have shades which cater to who? Everybody. We can have lingerie that caters to everybody. But yes, lots of shady business practices happening over at Fenty X Savage. But Victoria's Secret wasn't done. They wanted to have a comeback. So in 2021, they came up with their panel of women, and they're all about empowering women. Yay! So what do we get from it? Nothing. Oh, wait, no. We got beige. Oh, thank you. Great. And not even well-fitting beige. It was like a punishment. Oh, you want to be in control? Fine. Take this, you ugly feminist. And I don't know about you, but a bland beige bra does not make me feel empowered. It just reminds me of the fact that I have to wear a boob cage because women's nipples are apparently the worst thing in the world, especially if you're using them for the purpose that they actually exist for.
Didn't eat very much. For 10 years, you became very self-aware, having to live up to those ideals all the time.
Also somehow curvy, which is usually only attainable through extreme dieting and fitness regimens and plastic surgery.
Heads up for this section, we're on about EDs and diet culture, so you can skip ahead to the next chapter if you want to avoid that. The hashtag train like an angel existed for a reason. Did you know that for this famous moment in 2003, Heidi Klum was actually 4 months pregnant? But you can't tell at all, can you? That's because you're not meant to be able to tell, because women's bodies are objects, they are just vessels, they're not actually for any purpose at all other than for men's pleasure. With this sort of messaging, is it any wonder why millennials struggle with diet culture and EDs? One of the main problems of the Victoria's Secret fashion shows and catalogues is it strictly defined what was beautiful, what was sexy, and it became a competition for girls to get a chance to be a Victoria's Secret model, and to be an angel meant that you were in, quote, peak condition like an athlete. But the fashion shows are meant to be showcasing ways to empower women. How is it empowering women by making it so strict that even the models have to restrict themselves? Even people who are naturally skinny had to restrict themselves. Why can't they be empowered without having to do a liquid diet first, without having to dehydrate themselves first? Because if this is lingerie, and lingerie is meant to be supportive, comfortable, make you feel good about yourself, no. It's not actually for any of that. The whole show was not for any of that purpose. The whole show was just to ogle at very conventionally attractive, very narrow standard of beauty women. Models have spoken out over the years about what they put their bodies through for the show, and as often happens, this gets seen as dedication and it gets celebrated. But again, I'm on about very extreme things that people were having to do for this. I'm a fan of exercise. I want it to be accessible to everybody to be able to do what they are able to do. It provides so many benefits for you mentally and physically. obviously. But the thing is that these people had to restrict everything about themselves and constantly be working out. The whole motto that went through so many people's heads was, if I'm not constantly moving, I am not burning enough calories. And this sort of thing had a big impact on me personally, because I always felt like if I'm sitting down, I'm not doing enough. I need to get up and do stuff constantly. If you're brushing your teeth, you're doing heel raises, you're doing all sorts. Like, no matter what you're doing, you are doing something to be able to incorporate easy little workouts, which magazines like Cosmopolitan absolutely encouraged us to do. There was only one body which was allowed, and it was through constant monitoring and observation, not only by the models themselves, but also by the people up at the top. Oh wait, no, sorry, they did allow for different body types, because you could be a very slim person with smaller bust or a bigger bust, but only up to a double D back in the day. And it wasn't sustainable for the models to do, because what they did pre-show to be able to get ready for the show was not any way that any of them could survive on for any length of time. To quote this article from Jenny Stevens, Adriana Lima told The Telegraph in 2011 that she cut out all solid foods 9 days before an appearance. Many models do not drink fluids either. Dehydration is a massive problem, one fashion editor told me. Yet year after year, this circus of competitive anorexia is broadcast, streamed, and applauded, where any moment not spent exercising is a moment wasted, and where being thin is a marker of togetherness and control and success. Razek, who you know as this jerk, said this: "We don't tell them to do this. They compete with one another and they work hard. They work in pairs. They work in threes." This seems at odds with an interview he gave to Forbes in 2015, in which he recalled a model asking him why she didn't make it to the show after appearing the year before. He replied, "Every night I see a picture of you on Instagram from a club, night after night, and every night while you were doing that, Adriana Lima was jumping rope for 3 hours. 3 hours. You can't go telling me this stuff is sustainable and that everyone is able to do this." But that was the sort of messaging that was being applied onto millennials, onto Gen X, onto every woman around, basically. 2016, a former Angel, Erin Heatherton, said she'd been pressured to lose weight by the company. Despite exercising twice a day and following a strict meal plan, she was unable to meet the target set for her. "I got to a point when one night I got home from a workout and I remember staring at my food and thinking, maybe I should just not eat. I realized I couldn't go out into the world, parading my body and myself in front of all of these women who look up to me, and tell them that this is easy and simple and everyone can do this." So now you know their history and the things that they've had to overcome and how they've transformed themselves to be able to empower women, and that's exactly what the company is about. They came back with the fashion show this year, so let's have a look at it. Has it been as amazing as the last shows, but in a better way for women? So we open the show with a woman posing sexily on a motorbike, because you know that women on motorbikes, sexy. Except it's still very male gaze, isn't it? I was approached in high school to do those calendars where you've got like girls in bikinis and stuff on cars and on motorbikes. Yeah, that's just for guys, and no, don't worry, I didn't do it. To give them props, this is technically Victoria's Secret most diverse fashion show to date, which when you look at their history, isn't saying all that much. This year we had 2 beautiful trans models. Eat that, Ed. Valentina Sampaio and Alex Consani. They both looked amazing. No notes on them themselves, a lot of notes on the clothes though. And this year we have 4 plus-size models: Ashley Graham, Devin Garcia, Paloma Alcessa, and Kai Soleil. All of these models are beautiful, and I couldn't help but notice that all of the plus-size models had very hourglass figures, even though not everyone that actually is plus-size has that kind of figure. You can have a small bust and a larger waist. There can be all sorts of different body shapes, but all of them have hourglass figures. Just something that I noticed, and I also noticed they were more covered up than the slimmer models. It was just something that I noticed. And also, can we talk about how things were not fitting people well? Oh my goodness. Like, look at this slip dress. Just look at it. Look at how it cuts down here. This isn't good. This is terrible. And I have to say it, these fuzzy shoes are absolutely hideous. Why would anybody want to wrap a pipe cleaner around someone's foot? So we got some wonky wings, more wonky wings. I don't know quite what that is. And then look at this poor model walking down, and you see them having to hitch up their leggings. Yeah, I've been there, we've all been there. It just shows how poorly made this stuff is. And this looks like it's the balloon artist's first time at Victoria's Secret fashion show. I was expecting these to be neon or something to try and justify this, but no, just ugly. Okay. If this is meant to be designed for women, then why on earth would a woman want to wear shorts that come halfway down your butt with elastic at that? That would just be so uncomfortable. Coachella 2012 called and they want their skirt back. This is so cheap. No wonder she looks like she doesn't want to be here. This bra top doesn't even fit her properly. It's like basically up to her collarbone. You know when you were a kid and you wore tinsel for fun? This looks uncomfortable and will shed everywhere. A lot of the lingerie they showed looks like it could be found at bras and things. I told you we don't have a very wide range here in Aotearoa, and it is expensive, but that's kind of like the sort of cheaper sort of store. Whilst I've definitely shopped there, it's not somewhere that you'd call a fancy experience. Oh, I do have a compliment though. These shoes with the wings, I want them. I love anything that looks like you are a fairy princess. Oh my goodness, yes, I would live for it if they came up with like one of their looks to be something like that. Oh, I would be so happy. But no, instead we got whatever the hell this is. What a way to disrespect Adriana Lima with this hideousness. For a lingerie company, some of the things weren't even fitting properly. This whole thing is just stark, boring, bland nothingness, with flooring that looks so cheap it looks like someone could like trip up on it. Oh, actually, would you look at that? Dukes and Crows, an absolute icon of the 2000s. I wanted her face, still do. I want her face so badly. Not only did they disrespect her by putting her in this outfit, but her heel got caught in their cheap flooring, and then her whole foot comes out of her shoe. Like, for goodness sake, she recovers so incredibly well. Wow. But funnily enough, they cut that from their official video. And I couldn't help but notice how miserable most of the models looked. How they looked almost bored in a way. Like they were just in a trance trying to get through this thing. Like they weren't even having any fun. And that was kind of the joy about the show, was that it wasn't as stuffy as the fashion shows. Was that people were having fun with each other. They were having fun with the audience. They were having fun with the camera. And that was like part of the whole vibe. And then this time we get maybe some of the veterans who are actually like doing like little smile, a little wave, and definitely Tyra at the end doing whatever she was doing here. But these legends who were all over the age of 40, I couldn't help but notice their bodies were so taut. Like they didn't have any ounce of jiggle on them. And I was just thinking, because they were the ones that actually were in the shows historically, when they were doing the dehydration, where they were doing all of those terrible diets that they were having to do, working out constantly, I couldn't help but think that they were doing that to themselves again, because you know what we have? We have the memories of what they looked like in the past, and through the power of this, we can see exactly what they used to look like. And you know what tabloids love to do? They love to do, oh, this is what they looked like back in their prime. Oh my goodness, they let themselves go. Oh my goodness, look at them now that they're so old. The only image that you get of mothers is like these incredibly taut, dehydrated, beautiful women. But like, wow, this would have taken so much work. Like, I just felt for them watching them. But you do get a mother-daughter combination because you got Kate Moss and her daughter. So this is how you're expecting older women to be represented on the show, which is like these very unrealistic standards again. Like, the show just needed to be so much more. I was looking forward to genuine diversity. I wanted to see people with different disabilities. I wanted to see people of completely different body types, not just like your hourglass, curvaceous person. I wanted to see totally different body types. I wanted to see lingerie that was actually accessible for people. I don't mean in a sexual manner. I mean in a way of like people with disabilities, whether it's a front closure or a side closure, because you can't get to your back. Things that actually were supportive. I wanted a pretty strapless bra that you didn't have to hitch up. I wanted to see fat women being able to raise their arms, dance and party with people without having to do like the whole like, oh gosh, no, I'm going to spill out. I wanted people to feel comfortable, confident, secure, supported, and empowered and with each other. Instead, we got like this weird rendition of the past, but with no personality. What even are these collections? They don't even make sense together. Like, there's no cohesiveness, there's no personality to anything. It's all just boring. I will say though that the musical performances, all of them were loving it, they were feeling it, they gave so much more energy, in my opinion anyway, than the models did, and it made me feel even worse for the models, honestly. Like, Tyler just ate, oh my goodness, and it was great seeing Cher too. If we're on about female icons that have never needed a man, Cher. I'm very glad that they got Cher. Lisa from Blackpink, you can tell that she knows what to do in front of a camera. She was just owning everything. Strangely enough, Victoria's Secret turned off comments on their video, by the way, so we can't even tell if people liked it or not. I wonder why they did that. I asked on Instagram what you thought of the show, and so many people brought up the fact that they were disappointed that Tyra was the one to close the show. They were so confused because Tyra, very bad past. I think that, you know, again, millennials, we grew up with America's Next Top Model, and also her Tyra show, which was terrible too. And she's hurt so many women, so it was strange to see her get that coveted spot, you know, to close a show. That is a big ideal. To be honest with you, watching the new show was like a chore. I wasn't having any fun unless it was a musical performance. Sorry. This felt like a weird, empty checkbox exercise. Like there was no creativity, there was no fun that was had, there was no vision that was there. And like, I love lingerie, I love clothing, I love all of the cool makeup that they could have done. They could have done so much great stuff, and then, what? Okay. Give us nothing. Thank you.
They're not sexy enough. When the angels appeared, the English image went away. Here they are in 2000, in their bras and panties, emerging from a spaceship. We moved into the more aggressively sexy point of view. That's the leap the brand made.
Is being sexy empowering? Well, what is sexy? We know the male version of what they think women should look like in order to be sexy, because Victoria's Secret absolutely laid that out for so many years. And as women, we've been taught that this is what you're meant to look like in order to be sexy, and if you're not trying to get to this, then you're a failure. If you never achieve this, then you're a failure. And if you never even bother, if you don't even want to look like this, ooh, you must be a disgusting, ugly feminist or a lesbian. Ugh. Gross. Everybody hates you. You're just a killjoy. Plus, this image of sexy is only ever for a short period of people's lives. If they can ever even achieve that, like age 18 to 25, that's it. People live to their 85, 95. So what are you meant to do for everything else? Like, oh, no, you're just meant to be ashamed of your body and always be trying to compete to look like this. Oh, great. That is so empowering. Yeah, I feel real sexy by having to feel like a failure for the fact that I can't turn back time. So can someone feel empowered by feeling sexy? Personally, I think so. Like when I've been to a drag show, which was for a Disney night, because of course that would be the night that I go to a drag show, I got picked to be participated in a competition. And you may know that Gilda is one of my top 10 movers. Everybody was cheering you on as you sashayed your way up and down the little catwalk thing, then walked up on stage, and it was great. I won, by the way. I wasn't being degraded at any point. You were evaluated on your performance and your personality, and I had a great time. The difference was the participants were owning the room as opposed to the room owning them. You see what I mean? I'll give you a quick example. So owning a room, it makes me think of someone like Sylvie from Emily in Paris. She owns a room. She understands her power and she's very comfortable with her sexuality. Whereas you compare it to this scene from Buffy, she is being used. She is being harassed. You see what I mean? It's like the room is owning her. She has no power in this scenario. What is considered to be differs from person to person, but we've been taught that this male ideal, this male gaze is what sexy is. And I think that as women especially, we haven't really been able to untangle our vision of sexiness away from this. So it's like you can absolutely lean into that because we haven't discovered that for ourselves because we've been raised up under patriarchy. So it's really hard to try and feel sexy without also at the same time self-objectifying, because that's what we've been taught to do ever since childhood, because our bodies, as I've talked about, get controlled in a way where we feel like we have to cover up, we have to have our legs closed, we have to do all sorts of things and see how other people see us. As girls, you're trained to do that from a really young age, and so it's hard not to keep that going as you're taught all of these other messages about this is what men want, this is what's beautiful, this is what's this, that, and the other. And I was really hoping that Victoria's Secret, especially after rewatching that documentary, they would take the opportunity to be like, this is what women want. This is how women feel empowered. This is how women feel sexy. Like I said, I love lingerie. I love wearing pretty things, and genuinely it's for myself because nobody else sees it. I mean, except for Brandon, but like that's my husband, you know? But like it makes your posture better. You actually feel supported and you feel secure because you know what? You can run down the street without having to worry about whacking yourself in the face with one of the girls, you know? And this is another reason why I'm so disappointed by Victoria's Secret, because it could celebrate all different bodies. It could support people of all different breast sizes, unevenness, especially post-surgery, especially for people that have actually gone through the horrors of breast cancer or something. There are just so many opportunities that they tripped and missed and just landed in blah. When I asked you what you wanted, not only did you want proper diversity from the people that were actually involved in the show, not just in terms of age, in terms of body type, in terms of ability, like everything that I said before. I don't know about you, but I'm a girly girl, and for me personally, the most fun part of any night out is when you are getting ready with your friends. You are building each other up, you're trying out different looks, you're trying out different everything. You're making memories in this wonderful little safe space of fun where you are just enjoying each other and building each other up. I wanted those sorts of vibes from the show. I wanted the audience participation. I wanted this sort of sense of camaraderie, sense of safety, and like to recognize like the legacies of different kinds of women, and also the way forward to the future to celebrate this sort of femininity, because Victoria's Secret is a girly girl kind of brand. It's always been super feminine, so I wasn't expecting them or even wanting them to shy away from that. I wanted them to be able to do that in a way that was actually properly supportive to all different body types, all different abilities, all different ages, all different needs. What I really wanted them to recreate with the show was that feeling when you are with your girlfriends, when you are having fun with them, before you even go out, before the night is technically begun, because when you step out into the world, you have to deal with men who are objectifying you, men who are saying, oh, you're girly, so that's not good enough, oh, you must be so shallow, oh, no, 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 no. And you feel just unsafe and judged all the time. I wanted to have this space where women were feeling really good with each other, good in themselves. That's what I wanted the show to do, and it just didn't give that, and it's just, oh, it's so disappointing. Like, we've had Barbie-core, we've had Bimbo-core, like, Pink has finally been embraced and not seen as an idiot's choice. You are not seen as a fool for the fact that you like feminine things. At least I hope that you're no longer viewed that way, because I know that I was on that journey. I know that many of you have been on that journey. Even if you personally don't like that sort of aesthetic, you're not looking down on people that do. You see what I mean? We've made that evolution now. We've gone through that. So it really was the prime time for Victoria's Secret to have this great rebrand, to have this great comeback. And then they fumbled the bag all over again. We got beige last time, and we just got confusion and like plastic emptiness this time. We need to wrap it up. I'm ranting at this point. I wanted to know, have they made those fundamental changes that they said that they were going to in order to make the brand empowering to all women? Have they done that? Let's look at the top table, shall we? Hilary Super is their CEO, who hails from Savage X Fenty, who only started in August of this year, so only a couple of months ago, really. Previously, it was Martin Waters, so a man. Tim Johnson, CFAO. Mel McAfee, HR and Legal Officer. Reminder that HR works for the company, not for the employee. Deanne Boyle, COO. Greg Eunice, Brand President. And, oh wait, no, there's one more woman. Anne Stevenson, Chief Merchandising Officer. But she reports to Greg. Good to see that men are still in the positions of power, right? And what about the environmental changes that they said that they'd do? So the 2024 Fashion Revolution report has come out, and they assessed 250 companies. I've got the full report down for you below. But basically, you want a company to be at a higher percentage level, because that means that they are meeting more and more criteria. The lower the percentage, the lower the criteria that they're meeting. Victoria's Secret is at, 17%. So they're really not doing well at all. So they're not actually upkeeping with the big promises that they were making about the company. So, are we surprised? No, not really, given their history, right? Did they even deserve this comeback? Did they deserve any of us to be excited? Probably not, but again, we don't even like capitalism here. I was really hoping for a happy distraction because the world is such a dark and twisted place, and it just keeps on getting worse, and it's like, I wanted to have something to be able to celebrate here, and then we get this. And I'm not feeling very celebratory. Are you? What do you think of the show? In all honesty, were you one of the people who also really liked Victoria's Secret back in the day? I know in the 2000s and 2010s, misogyny ruled, and we loved to attack women and said that they were not doing good enough, they were doing everything wrong, and just attacking each other. And it's like, the real issue is the patriarchy, and patriarchy loves capitalism. And that's the thing we should be critiquing here, as opposed to if women are enjoying feminine things or if you're enjoying more masculine things. Like, honestly, they're, well, feminine, masculine, you know, because gender binary stuff still absolutely exists. Think about how many women love Bridgerton, how many women love those opportunities to be able to dress up. Look at the Bridgerton balls and the bad spin-offs of them, which have been done. Like, there was such a great opportunity here to embrace femininity in an empowering way. And what so many of you said that you wanted when I asked you on Instagram was lingerie that was supportive. You wanted cotton, you wanted natural fibers, you wanted stuff that you felt comfortable comfortable in, supported in, and didn't have to worry about. You want to feel secure in this stuff, and I fully understand that, but you also want it to be cute. You don't just want it to be beige, bland, and boring. And oh my god, can we get away from the beige bras, please? Especially for people with anything over the cup size of double D, because it just makes me feel so hideous. I think that you all know how much I love colour. Beige is the worst colour in the world in my books. I hate it so much. Anyway, my lovelies, I hope that you enjoyed this more fun, kind of ranty video about lost hope from the 2000s once again. But yeah, my next video is going to be on the crunchy to alt-right pipeline, which is going to be a lot heavier, and I've got another heavy video planned for November, but it's serious topics which we need to talk about, but I'm going to be peppering in some happier things too, because I think that we all need it. And if you did make it all the way to the end of this video, along with your comment, if you could leave whatever emoji you like that has wings, because it's Victoria's Secret angels, I would be thinking of money with wings, because I sort of see this opportunity flying away from them because no one really cares about buying any of this amazing stuff that they showed us. But that could just be me. Maybe you liked things from the show. Like, there were a couple of things that were kind of cute. Like I said, gimme wings on my shoes any day. I can't really wear heels anymore because of my long COVID, but oh, if I could come out looking like a fairy, I would be so happy. Special thanks as always to my patrons for continuing to support my work, and especially to my Trash Panda enablers, my top tier, my most favourite of favourite people: Alyssa Bassani, Birgit, Kerry Quake, Jam, Laura Bell, Mila Gautier, Stella Sapiente, Tammy Poitras, Tim Long, Tonya Banyay. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you next time for a heavier video. So I will try to inject levity into that one. I'm still trying to figure out how to do it because, whew, especially with the US election coming up, people just keep on doing stranger and stranger things and scarier things. So I guess we'll see. I hate living next to construction.